Vamochana Garurvahana Krishna Gopika Pate Nayamamohana Krishna Nirajakshana Sujana Bandhava Krishna Sundara Krute Madana Komala Krishna Madhava Hare Vasumati Pate Krishna Vasuvanuja Baruvana Kara Krishna Vaishnara Krute Surajiranana Krishna Shaurya Varide Murahara Vibhu Krishna Muttidayaka Bamalakalaka Jaya Jayatana Krishna Radhika Pate Jana Vimochana Krishna Janva Mochana Hare Krishna. Thank you.
So I just quickly tell you a few things about today's workshop, and then Prabhu will be joining soon. So basically, I don't know whether if some of you may have heard from Prabhu or may have attended his wonderful workshops, the Japa workshops and different seminars. He has been a great leader in ISKCON, in International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and a wonderful disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He has done extensive seminars and the workshops on the aspect of the chanting of the holy name. Some of the wonderful or well-knowns are the the Japa affirmations, the principles of Japa, the do's and don'ts of Japa, and what we should think or what we should not think while we are doing the chanting of the holy name. So of course, at the moment, Prabhu is in America at the moment in EST time. So I think that's 5 hours. On the other side actually, so 5 hours behind to the BST, the British Standard Time. So it's in the morning for him, and of course there are a couple of things I just wanted to tell about Prabhu, that how he joined Krishna consciousness and how he got inspired. So basically he was born in Los Angeles in California in 1950 basically. So it's like 70 years ago. And in 1969, in the age of 19, he first met Srila Prabhupada through Bhagavad Gita as it is. And of course, then later that year, he met Srila Prabhupada personally in Los Angeles. And in January of 1970, he moved into the temple in Berkeley in US, California. And shortly after, he received first and second initiation. So Prabhu has been in Krishna consciousness since last many years. Actually, it's more than 50 years, we would say. And at the young age of 19, he joined Krishna consciousness. So that shows that how much wealth of knowledge he has, how much wonderful things he has to share with us, and we should take benefit of his guidance, his association, and his aspect of the chanting of the holy name. Obviously he has done a lot of services in his life, basically talking about from book distribution to Sankirtan, the temple president, the college preaching, congregational development, and so many educational projects. He has written books, and he has written, he's given many seminars, courses, and he's keep on giving that, wonderful nectar of Krishna consciousness to people in general, everywhere in the whole world. So, so from there, of course, at the moment, as I said, he's based in US, and he's a very good, kirtanier as well. You might have seen his kirtan in some of the live kirtans recently. Due to lockdown, all the devotees are singing all over the world. So Mahatma Prabhu has taken part in that as well. And of course, he does very nice Brahma Samhita. So the last time when he came to Ilford in East London, he sang some of the prayers from Brahma Samhita as well. So that was very nectarian, very very sweet actually. And he gives mainly, and in the topic of this japa, forgiveness, humility, vows, and the marriage, and these are the topics he kind of covers in his workshops and the seminars, things like that. Now he is based in Alachua, Florida at the moment, and of course with his wife and the daughter. Basically, at the moment, he's trying to set up something for his wife. That's why he's a bit late, but he'll be joining soon. So Haribol, can we have a big loud Haribol? I mean, maybe in a muted way. So Prabhu has joined with us right now, right here. We're very, very fortunate to have the wonderful association of His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, who is a wonderful and intimate disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu has made time from his busy schedule. He has been giving wonderful, I mean, the live classes, the live courses every day, like, from back to back. If you see his schedule, you won't, I mean, it's like very surprising that how he's managing everything. But obviously, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and of course Krishna, but his commitment to the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is really, really amazing. So we are really happy to have Prabhu with us. I would like to request His Grace Arvind Krishna Prabhu or Yamuneshwari Mataji to welcome Prabhu. And I mean, this is like normally in a whole program, if you remember, we did in Ilford earlier, we had a welcome ceremony, but due to this online thing, we may not be able to do that how we do in a hall. But at least Arvind Krishna Prabhu, Yamuneshwari Mataji can say a word, and then I'll hand it over to His Grace Mahatma Prabhu. Thank you so much for joining. Jai His Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Premanandi Hari Hari.
Hari Hari.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving your time and association.
Ananda. Shadwaita Gadadhar. So I want to apologize for being late. When my wife is giving a workshop now on Zoom, and when you told me 10 o'clock, she thought I knew that she was giving it at 10. So then I could have said, well, I won't be able to start exactly at 10, but I didn't know she was doing it today at 10, and I found out. And we had some complication with Zoom. I was not on someone else's Zoom account that I'm supposed to be on. So that's why we're late. Anyway, so Hare Krishna. Now, it's nice to be with all of you. And I'm recording, I'm on my phone and I want to see all of you. Yeah, I can only see 4 at a time, right? Okay, I'm going to scroll just so I can see everybody. So, look good.
Shall I
and
ask
smile.
everyone to switch on their camera for the moment? So everyone,
Yeah,
you can see
sit on and smile because I'm
that
looking
will be
at you.
nice. Yeah. So please, devotees, if you can switch on your camera so we can see and Prabhu can see us, that will be nice. So there are 114 participants at the moment.
Is this East London program, have I been there before?
Yes,
Like
yes, you have come a couple of occasions. You have come, and earlier you came near a school, one of the devotees' house called Varsha Mataji's house, and you did a japa workshop there. And then you came to Ilford area. There you did the affirmations, the japa affirmations, the 20 japa affirmations. That is still very fresh in our heart at the moment.
So we know everybody. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm just looking at everyone. Okay. So we have a slideshow, but I may not use it, but it's there just in case. So the first thing I want to begin with in discussing japa is environment, creating the right environment in which to chant. And the environment is going to be external, the right external environment, and the right internal environment. And this is so important because a lot of times, as you know, one of the biggest complaints is I can't control my mind. My mind's going everywhere, right? Huge complaint. When I chant japa, my mind wanders. You have that problem? Your mind wanders? Thinks about what you have to do, your problems, trying to figure things out. The mind is just very active. And so creating an internal environment means, one thing it means is creating an environment where your mind won't be active. As long as your mind is active, when you chant, it's going to be really difficult to get absorbed. And then you have the external environment. It's a little more obvious. If you have a difficult external environment, if you have a distracting external environment, then it's like putting on 100 kilos on your back to walk up a mountain. You're working against yourself. So often one of the problems that we're facing in just chanting good rounds is that we're trying to chant good rounds, but we're in a bad environment, both internally and externally. And so it's like we're working against ourselves. And we've all experienced this, right? If you're chanting when you're tired, have you ever tried to chant when you're tired? We all have. What happens when you're very tired? It's very difficult to concentrate, isn't it? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Or
Yes, Prabhu.
in the middle of the day when you're very busy, there's like so much on your mind. You got to do this, have to do that. There's a meeting here. Somebody's depending on me to do this. You try to chant at that time. You can't chant because there's too much on your mind. There's too much you have to do. It's not the right environment. So if I give you instructions how to chant better, but you do it in an environment where you can't focus or you're tired, it's the wrong part of the day, or you're in an environment where there's things going on around you which are completely distracting, you won't be able to apply those instructions. So this is of fundamental importance, and I think a lot of the difficulty that devotees have when they're chanting is it's either they have the external environment where it's very peaceful and quiet, but the internal environment is disturbed. They're thinking of too many things that they have to do, or they get the internal environment, but the external environment, there's too much going on and they can't focus. So this is like fundamental. When I had a big realization in this area, and although it's a big realization, it's quite simple. If you actually look at it in a certain way, it's quite simple. This problem of my mind wanders, it's the main problem. And we all know Prabhupada said, well, just hear the mantra. Well, how can you just hear the mantra if you're hearing 100 other things in your head, right? You're trying to hear, and then you finish a round and you realize, you ever finish a round and realize you never even heard one mantra because you were thinking of so many things? That ever happened to you? I think for some people, it's more than one round. Sometimes it's 16 rounds, and when we finish our rounds, we realize the whole time I was thinking of something else. That ever happened to you? You finish your rounds, and it's like you're driving a car, and you get to your destination, and you don't even remember how you got there. You're so used to driving there. That ever happened? You're just kind of like hypnotized while you're driving. So I think it happens. If it happens to you, you raise your hand. You can go, yes, it happened to me. You can raise your hand. So one of the big realizations I had was that when we chant Japa, we have to see it. We can't just see it as like, oh, I just chant Japa, like I'm going to cook, or I'm just going to sit down and read, or I'm going to sit down and write a letter. It has to be a whole environment, a whole consciousness, a whole way of thinking. It can't just be, I'll just pick up my beads and start chanting, because if you do that, If you do that, it's quite likely your mind is just in gear the way it normally works all day, right? You know, let's say you're a performer and you're a musician and you're going to perform for 10,000 people. Don't you think before you go on stage, you'll have to get yourself in a certain state of consciousness? You wouldn't just like drive up 5 minutes before and jump out, you know, be talking to your friend and eating a candy bar and just walk on stage. You wouldn't do that. I hope not, right? You get there early, you go behind stage. You get there in the afternoon and rehearse with your band. That's what you do. And then you come back again, you do another sound check, and then you just prepare yourself. You're rested, good consciousness, and then you go out. It's the same with japa. If you just start chanting without any internal preparation, that's when you have this problem. Your mind is still working the way it normally works. How does your mind normally work? What does your mind normally do? Do you think about things that you worry about? Yes or yes? How much do you think about things that you worry about? A lot, right? Fears, concerns, especially now, we don't know. It's not looking good for COVID-19. It's not like just going away just because we had lockdown, right? So it's an unknown time. Job security is unknown. So many unknowns. And anyway, we all have so many problems, right? So that's the nature of the mind. And we all have so many things to do, right? I remember devotees telling me who moved from India to the West. They said, I'm so much more busy in the West than I was in India. I had so much more time in India. So here in the West, there's more things to do, and it's more difficult to maintain ourselves. It's more expensive, it's more complicated. And even though there's more facility, we end up doing more, isn't it? Like we make things easy for ourselves, and then we end up doing more because it's easy, so we can do more. That ever happened to you? Like you got a phone to make things easy, and now you spend hours a day on your phone? Wasting time. Yeah. So here's the big realization I had. It is so simple, but it's so meaningful. That when you're going to chant japa, something has to shift in the environment you're in, inside of you. Something has to shift. And if it doesn't shift, you remain in the same state of consciousness you're always normally in, which is thinking about what you have to do, thinking about what you didn't do, thinking about what you're concerned about, your worries, planning your day. Do you ever plan your day while you chant japa? Raise your hand. It's time for confession. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. At 3 o'clock I'm going to do this, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But maybe I'll do it at 2 o'clock, Hare Rama. If I do it at 2, then at 3 I can do Rama Rama. Have you ever done that? Confess. Admit it. Yeah, we only have one honest person so far. Oh, we have 2 honest, 3. Okay, I can't look at all of you, but
me too, Prabhuji.
Yeah, everybody does. Anyone who's chanted japa has done this. So,
Oh, I've heard this kind before.
but guilty. So we've all been found guilty. Why do we do this? Because we just pick up our beads and we start chanting, and nothing changes. Something has to change. When you worship the deities, especially if you worship the deities in a temple and you're a Brahmin, when you go on the altar, you say prayers before you go on the altar, you bow down. And when you walk through that altar door, something changes because now you're on the altar with Krishna. And if you've never done that, you could imagine, right? like when you go on the altar, it's like, oh, okay, now I'm with Krishna. I'm not just hanging out with my friends talking. I don't bring my phone with me. I don't do my WhatsApp when I'm on the altar. I don't talk to anybody. I've got clean clothes. I've just bathed, and my focus is there with the deity. It's a different consciousness. That's easy to understand, right? Simple to understand. We all get it. Why should it be any different when we chant japa? Because now I'm going on the altar of the holy name. And Prabhupada said, Krishna is non-different from his name. And just as you bow to the deity when the curtains open, you should bow to the holy name when you chant. So often we don't do that. We just pick up the beads and we think, okay, I'm committed to chant 4 rounds or 8 rounds or 16, whatever you've committed to. And then we pick up the beads and we think 4. The first thing we think is 4. You ever do that? Pick up your beads and think of that number. Okay, how am I going to do this number? And then there's no real switch. It's just thinking, okay, I have to chant. I have a half hour. I'm going to chant now. Maybe I can chant 4 rounds in a half an hour. And we start chanting. And what's going on? What's going on in your mind? Most of the time, what's going on in your mind is the same thing that goes on when you don't chant. That's the problem. It's the same mind doing the same thing, except in the background. But in the foreground, 2 o'clock, I have to do this, 3 o'clock, I have to get this paper done. Then I go shopping, we'll buy this, we'll have this for dinner. I don't know. Have you done that before? Okay, raise your hand if you haven't done it. That'll be easier. If you've never done that, raise your hand. Now I'm going to go see how many hands are raised. Okay, no hands are raised. All guilty. We have to execute you now. You're going to be executed. I don't want you to go to Japa hell where you will be executed. All right. So I developed a meditation, and I found this one of the best things for my japa. It automatically improves your japa. If when you begin chanting japa, you consciously think, whatever is going on in my life, I have to turn that off. Turn it off. Like, my life is off. Whatever is going on in my life, it's off, and now I'm with Krishna. I have to tell you something amazing. You want to hear something amazing? Yes? Okay, you're going to hear something amazing now. I don't know if you know this, but this is amazing. We have all heard that Prabhupada said, just chant with your tongue and hear with your ears. We've all heard that. And there was a conversation. But Srila Prabhupada, it's difficult to control my mind when I chant. And Prabhupada said, what is the question of mind? You just chant with your tongue, hear with your ears. That's not the full story. You know how sometimes you hear something and it's not, and you think, okay, this is it. And it's like one part of it. And there's a lot more to it than one part. And everybody only knows the one part, and that's the only part you hear. You know what Prabhupada said? He said, when you chant Hare Krishna, you should be thinking of Krishna's pastimes. But if you can't do that, then just hear. So just hearing was like loser. You can't be absorbed. You can't be absorbed in Krishna Leela. Okay, you're so unfortunate that you can't be absorbed in Krishna Leela when you're chanting. So just hear. Isn't that interesting? So what to speak of the mind going all over the universe, we're supposed to be thinking about Krishna's pastime. So this is what I do. I think, when I begin chanting, I think, now I'm with Krishna. I won't go into details. I won't go into details, but I just think, now I'm with Krishna. That's all that's going on in my life now. And nothing else is going on. Everything is turned off. Just as you would do if you were with a friend, you turn everything off. So once I am able to turn everything off, just like whatever's going on in my life, it's like, okay, pause button, off button, off button. We can turn all those buttons on after japa. but during that time, everything goes off. If you can just do this, you will see that your japa, just by that one thing, your japa will improve maybe 70%. Your ability to control your mind, it's no longer a problem because there's no mind to control because you've turned it off. Why do you have to control a mind that's turned off? You only have to control a mind that's turned on. So here's the paradox. You're trying to control a mind, but you're allowing your mind to be turned on in your world. You're still thinking about what you have to do today. You're still thinking about planning this and that. And then you're thinking, okay, I have to hear the mantra and control my mind. But you've allowed your mind to be busy. If you turn it off, it's like automatically there's only the mantras left to hear. It's so simple, right? It's so simple. It only took me 40 years to figure it out. Sometimes the truth is like that, isn't it? It's so obvious and you don't figure it out. So this is the first thing. Now, let's say you master this. You say, okay, when I chant, as soon as I pick up my bead bag, I shift out of my life. I do not allow myself to enter my life. If it's early in the morning, I don't start my life. If it's later in the day, I turn it off. I say, okay, I have a few things to do, and now I'm going to chant, and everything's off. Phone's off, because most of your life is on your phone, computer. It's all off. And now I'm just with Krishna. If you can do that, that alone, I don't even have to say anything else. If you can just do that, that's going to make a huge difference. But there's a problem. Number one, that's not always easy to do. Number two, when you do it, you're going to, let's say you do it and you do it really well for a half an hour. But after a half an hour, what do you think is going to happen again? Oh, but I need to do this. I need to do that. It takes practice. You get used to it, but it takes practice. It's like empathic listening. If you've ever done empathic listening, it's really difficult because you have to listen to what the person is saying and what the person is feeling and not be thinking about what you're going to say, which is normally what we do. And so it takes practice to be able to listen. You have to really, really try because we're used to thinking what we're going to say when people are talking to us, isn't it? You're talking to me and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to tell you this and that. And I'm waiting for you to stop talking so I can talk. With empathic listening, it's different. So you have to practice not thinking about what you're saying and only practice listening to what the person is saying and hearing between the lines, what they're feeling. So this also requires practice. And so when you begin, what do you think is going to happen? Say, okay, this is really good. I'm going to turn my world off. I'm just like my life is on vacation right now. I'm chanting Japa, vacation for my life. And what do you think is going to happen when you start chanting? Because we're used to thinking, it's going to come back. So that's one obstacle. We're going to have to practice. Now, here's some very good news and some very bad news. You want the good news first or the bad news first?
Good news.
Like King Riga, he wanted the bad news first. I'll give you the bad news first. I think it's better to get the bad, because then we can end with the good. You want the good news first, but then you'll be depressed when I give you the bad news. I'm going to give you the good news. I'll give you the bad news first. Here's the bad news. And this is something, as soon as I say it, you'll immediately understand. When you practice japa every day, it's not as good as it needs to be. What do you think happens? What happens is you instill that not as good enough japa, not as good as it needs to be. You instill that habit because you're doing it every day. It becomes your whole brain, your whole chemistry, biology, cells, everything becomes conditioned because you've done it that way for so long. Have you ever noticed a devotee who chants good japa? Like they have a certain routine, they sit down, they sit up, they do it at the same time in the temple, they sit in the same spot, they're focused. Have you ever seen a devotee do that? And they do it every day? That's the good news. If you do the good every day, it becomes a habit. And so if you practice unplugging your life when you begin doing japa, in the beginning it's difficult, but if you practice it, and when your mind starts thinking about what you have to do and so forth, if you keep practicing, after a while it starts to become a habit and you naturally do it, and then you embody within the very core of your own cells that japa means me and Krishna. That's all, nothing else. Not thinking about this, not doing this, not chanting and looking at my emails, WhatsApp, Instagram. It's nothing, it's me and Krishna. So if you practice this, it's going to make it so much easier for you. You'll naturally will chant better japa. And the reward for practicing it is eventually becomes a habit, and you would naturally do it. Subconsciously, you won't even think. Wouldn't that be good? Wouldn't that be good? As soon as you touch your beads, there's like this huge shift. It's like I just walked on the altar. Like, zoom, you feel a shift in your consciousness. Oh, now I'm chanting. What does that mean? It means whatever I was doing, whatever I was thinking, it's going to stop. Whatever I have to do an hour from now, I don't think about it. What I'm going to have for lunch, I don't think about it. What I have to shop for, I don't think about it. What time I have to do this, it all stops as soon as I touch my beads. Wouldn't that be amazing if that's what happened? As soon as you touch your beads? But that's, if you notice devotees who have taste for chanting or are very serious about chanting, that's exactly what happens. You're talking to them, everything, you know, Haribol, Tulsi Maharani, Ki Jai, and then they get their beads and it's like super Japa Prabhu manifest, right? Can you see it? You ever notice that? It's almost like he has a t-shirt. SM, no, SJ, SJM, Super Japa Man, Super Japa Man. It's like all of a sudden when they touch their beads, it's like transformation. Have you seen that before? Someone who's serious about japa? It's like they go into a different world. So, and what's the other one we've seen? The bad habit one. You put your, this is unfortunate, but it's true. With the super japa man, you know, he's getting ready to chant japa, you know, maybe he takes some achman, maybe he takes a little water, and he purifies his hands, right? He gets ready. He puts his hand in his bead bag. What happens all of a sudden? You just see his whole body come up. Have you ever seen that? Or maybe you do this. The body comes up and all of a sudden, Hare Krishna, like everything changes, right? Now, what's the opposite? Let's do the opposite. This is funny, but it's sad. Okay, I'm getting ready to chant japa. The water, a little achman. Getting ready, and then I get my beads, and then like I actually go into a worse state. Have you ever seen that? You actually go down. Isn't that weird? Like your whole energy level goes down. Oh, it's like, oh, I have to chant japa. So I have this like okay, just there's like a lack of consciousness. You were like more conscious before you started chanting. Isn't that sad? And then you start chanting, it's like you enter a realm of boredom. Now, I have some more bad news, but I think this bad news will help you. Not all chanting is equal, and Krishna is not equally present in all japa. This is very, very important to understand. This could be misunderstood because we read in Shastra, it says Krishna is in his name. Definitely, absolutely true, right? Now, we know Prabhupada traveled around the world 12 times. That means a lot of people got to fly with Prabhupada on the same airplane, how fortunate were they? If you got to fly on the airplane with Prabhupada, how would you feel? Would you feel special? Would that be amazing? Would you be ecstatic? You probably couldn't even sleep, and right? How many people that were on that plane with Prabhupada felt that way? Well, we could count the number of people that travel with Prabhupada as his servants and secretaries. And those are the ones who felt that way. What about the other people? Some people felt they could feel something. He's a sadhu, but most people probably didn't feel anything, right? Does that mean Prabhupada doesn't have potency? No, it means they don't have the ability to perceive it. If I chant the holy name and I don't enter into the proper mood of chanting, if I don't do it properly, does it mean the holy name doesn't have potency? No, holy name always has potency. It means I'm not accessing the potency. So an example is good. Hold on a second. I want to turn the AC off. I've got my, at least for a while, it's cool enough in here. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so we have an example in Shastra. Namabhas. Namabhas, Abbas means the shadow or reflection. And Namabhas is the name at sunrise. You know, like it's compared to the sun at sunrise. I was out this morning before class, I was chanting, and it's very hot here in Florida. But in the morning, the sun came out. I was chanting like around, I don't know what time, 7:30 or so, 8 o'clock. And sun is not very hot. It's just coming up, so it's not hot. But when the sun gets to noon, it's really, really, really hot. So the holy name, when it's chanted purely, is compared to the sun at noon. And when not chanted purely, it's compared to the sun at sunrise. It's not, you're not going to get sunburn. Well, maybe none of you get sunburn anyway, but I think now, do you get sunburn with the ozone? I heard with the ozone layer, what is it happening? Opening, depleting? And even people with darker skin get sunburn. Is that true? Well, you don't have any sun in England, you wouldn't know, right? You need sun to know. But someone like myself, if I go out in this noon sun, honestly, if I stand in the noon sun in 5 minutes, my head will turn red from the sun. It'll never happen at 8 in the morning. It's the same sun. Isn't that interesting, right? You say, but Prabhu, isn't the sun always, the sun, how hot is the sun? Who knows what the temperature of the sun is? How many, you know, it's like, oh, the sun is very hot, right? But in the winter, not very hot. At sunrise, not very hot. How hot is it? Who knows? Can you put in the chat how hot it is? Just something that hot, and at sunrise, nothing. Or in the winter, nothing. So the holy name is like the sun, but where are we in relation to the sun? Are we at sunrise? Are we at 12 noon? 3 million degrees. All right, 3 million degrees, and at night, don't feel anything. Is your chanting at midnight? Is your chanting at sunrise? Or is your chanting at noontime? So a lot of us think, well, if I just chant, oh, it's going to work. It's going to be good. Yeah, you know, the sun at sunrise, there's something there. There's some heat, not much. So that's what the Shastra says, and I think some people misunderstand this. They think, no, all chanting is equal. If Krishna is in his name, so I'm associating with Krishna. Just like everyone associated with Prabhupada, everyone sees the deity, everyone reads the Bhagavatam. When was the last time you cried when you read the Bhagavatam? Ever? Did you ever cry? You know, when Raghunath Das Goswami read the Bhagavatam, all he did was cry. That's the same book you're reading. Just meditate on that. It's the same book you're reading. Prabhu, the last time I read Bhagavatam, I didn't cry, but I fell asleep. I cried that I fell asleep. That's why I got bored reading and I fell asleep. And that was why I cried. But I didn't cry in ecstasy. So how is it this book is causing Raghunath Das Goswami to cry and causing this devotee to fall asleep? There's a joke. If you have insomnia, read the Bhagavatam. It'll put you right to sleep. And if that doesn't work, chant Hare Krishna. That will put you to sleep. That's the joke, right? And that same holy name that's causing ecstasy in the heart of the pure devotee is causing someone to go to sleep. You understand what I'm saying? Not all chanting is equal. Does that make sense? I can't just think Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. It's going to be equal. No, it's not. And the scripture says it's not. And when you unplug and you get absorbed in the holy name, nothing else, you're going to have much more amazing experiences. Now, here's something I find very, very important for us, very powerful. One time, Srila Prabhupada got a letter from a devotee, and the devotee was having difficulty, a lot of difficulty. Difficulty following principles, difficulty being enthusiastic, difficulty following sadhana, like just a big mess. And Prabhupada said something interesting. He said, by what you're describing that's going on in your heart and in your life, I can understand you're committing offenses to the holy name. I can understand that. What did he mean? That's just interesting. That if you are challenged in your life, you know what's going on? If you're challenged to control your mind, your senses, to be enthusiastic and so forth, you know what's going on? We're being infected, we're being infected by a virus of rajas and tamas. And the Prabhupada used this example. He said, the modes of nature infect us. So when there's lust, greed, anger, envy, it's an infection of passion and ignorance, rajas and tamas. But if you chant properly, at least you'll be situated in sattva guna or transcendental. So, but if you don't chant properly, the problem is you're getting the sun at sunrise, or you're not even getting the sun, you're getting the sun at midnight. So you're not getting the benefit of the holy name. This is very, very important to understand. If you are facing difficulty in your spiritual life due to desire or lack of enthusiasm or lethargy, there may be other reasons, but as if I was your spiritual doctor, I would say it's chanting is the cause. The chanting is just done. It's not done with deep absorption. So that's fundamental. So the last thing to just finish this section of the discussion, and then we can take some questions, is external environment. Don't make it difficult on yourself by chanting in an environment which is not conducive, right? So your son's in the house, he's watching television, and you want to hang out with him. So you bring your beads in and you sit down on the couch while he's watching his whatever he's watching, and you're like, what's that all about? Right? That's not where you want to chant. Or everyone's sitting around in the lounge and you're trying to chant and they're all talking, and you come in and then you start talking and chanting and talking and chanting. You can't. The goal is not to count a certain number of rounds, a certain number of beads. If you're sitting there talking and shnik shnik ram ram, or your son's watching TV and you're hanging out with him, shnik shnik ram ram, or whatever, then you're thinking, what I'm supposed to do is finish a certain number of beads. And if I finish a certain number of beads, I can pat myself on the back. No, Don't pat yourself on the back. Take a whip and whip yourself. You did the wrong thing. I mean, you say, but Prabhu isn't, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, isn't that glorious? Yeah, chanting Hare Krishna is glorious, but if you're watching TV while you're chanting, you're making a glorious thing very unglorious. So we have to put ourselves in an environment that doesn't distract us, in an environment that would inspire us. Now, for some of you, maybe taking a walk is where you'll be least distracted, because maybe in your own home, there's so much going on. You have your mother's there, your father's there, your uncle's there, you have 3 children. It's too much. You might think, if I go for a walk, I can be more peaceful. In that situation, that would be the best thing. Or I'll walk in a park and I'll sit there and I'll chat. Or I'll ask them, during this time, if everyone could just be quiet, and you go in your temple and you chant. You want to do something that doesn't make it difficult for yourself. So just these 2 things, unplugging your life, creating an environment around you which is not distracting, will improve your chanting immensely. And many of the other things that I can tell you to do, you will probably naturally do when you create the right environment, because the holy name will have more effect. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if it doesn't make sense. We have to do it this way, otherwise. Only raise your hand if it doesn't make sense. Right? And then. Okay, I want to say one more thing, and I want to open it up to questions. And we can say much more, but I want to make this point. This is a very interesting point. Have you ever done something the wrong way? Like did an exercise the wrong way, took a medicine the wrong way, used the software wrong way, used a product the wrong way, and then you said, this thing doesn't work. I don't like it. And sent it back. And then later you realize, no, you're supposed to plug this in here and turn this on, but you turn that on first, and So because it doesn't work, because you didn't work it properly, you think it doesn't work, and say, no, I don't like these products. I don't like this company. They don't make good products. No, because with their products, you have to do it a little differently. Or like if you're a PC guy and you get a Mac, for like the first week, you're going to scream at it. Like, why do they make it like this? Why can't you? It's like, where's the Windows Explorer? No, they don't call it that. Why don't they call it that? No, they call it Finder. Okay, and then you go into Finder and it doesn't look like Windows Explorer. You're like, where's everything? Right? And you send it back. I can't, this doesn't work. I hate Macs, or vice versa. Right? How does this relate to Japa? Well, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said something really, really important. So please pay attention. He said, if we don't chant properly, what happens? You get Japa at sunrise, or worse, you get Japa at midnight. If you get Japa at midnight, you go out at midnight and you go, hey, where's the sun? There must be no sun. Sun doesn't exist. Sun died. So you chant Japa at midnight, what happens? Exactly. Nothing happens. Very little happens. What happens? Nothing, or very little. Have you ever chanted Japa and you felt like nothing happened? Have you ever had that experience? You put your beads down, you say, I feel exactly the same as I did before I started chanting. I don't think anything happened. And the Shastra says all these amazing things about the holy name, the glories of the holy name, how it will liberate you and drown you in the ocean of bliss, and this and that. And you put your beads down and say, well, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true, because I just chanted, nothing happened. And I've been chanting a long time, nothing happened. Let me explain what's happening. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if you chant like that, you're not chanting properly. You're chanting midnight japa. Don't chant. Okay, the name of this class is Don't Chant Midnight Japa. the sun of the holy name is, is another part of the world, and you don't see it. When you chant like that, nothing happens, or very little happens. It's not very perceptible what happens. And sometimes what happens is you just suffer. You know, I want to get this over with. Do you ever suffer when you chant japa? Just get it over with. Hare Krishna. You know, it's not pleasurable. You're not chanting well. So, Bhaktisiddhanta said, the problem with that, with midnight japa, he didn't call it midnight japa, but we use that. The problem with midnight japa is you're not experiencing much. And if you don't experience much, where does your faith go? How can you develop faith in something? It's like that product. Oh, this product doesn't work. I don't like Macs. You're crazy. You don't like Macs. They're so much better than PC. No, I don't like Macs. Because you didn't know how to work it. You had a bad experience with it. So if you have bad experience, you lose faith. I don't have faith in this product or this company. We've all had that experience. We just didn't know how to use it. And I don't like this company, right? This company, I have some software. It was originally made by Germans. It's music software. It was originally made by Germans. So it's like, oh, I have to think like I'm German, you know, to use this software. I have to think like I'm German, yeah, you know. But once you use it and you start thinking like a German, you're like, wow, this is really good. So then you develop faith in it because you're using it properly and you realize how good it is. So how are you going to get faith in the holy name? You're going to get faith in the holy name by chanting properly, right? Because you're going to get realization, you're going to experience. And, you know, now I figured out how to use the Mac. This is amazing. So much better than the PC and it doesn't break down and blah, blah, blah. So he said the same thing happens. This is so important. If every day I'm chanting and I'm not getting much realization, what's that doing to my faith? It's decreasing my faith. I'm losing faith in the holy name. I think this is not working. And then I'm looking at my life. I'm still lusty. I'm still greedy. I'm still envious. The holy name's not working. The holy name is working, but we're not working the holy name. Holy name is working potentially. We're not working the holy name. And so we lose faith. This one devotee from England, I don't know his name, maybe it's one of you. He said, I am so fallen that the holy name becomes contaminated when I chant it. You know, it's like, yeah, I have the power to contaminate the holy name. I'm so fallen. So I've seen this, and this is it's very important to understand this, that to not have complete faith in the holy name is part of the 10th offense, right? But how do you end up not having faith? You don't chant well. And when you don't chant well, you don't get a taste, you don't get purified or very pure, you don't get as purified as you would like to or need to be. And then you start losing faith. I said, yeah, chanting may work for Radhanath Swami, but it doesn't work for me. Chanting may work for, you know, Rasananda, what's his name? Rasananda. He spends a lot of time in England. Maharaj's disciple. Is it Rasananda? No. Is that his name? I forget. Why am I forgetting his name? Not Rasananda?
Rasayan.
What?
I believe it's Bhakti Rasayan Swami.
Bhakti who? Rasamrita. Rasamrita, yeah. Like, Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, when he chants, you know, like, but I'm not him. So, you know, when I chant, it's not going to happen. So we're losing faith because we don't chant properly. We don't get enough experience. We don't get enough experience. We think, oh, it's not going to work for me. I'm a special Kali Yuga-ite. Holy name doesn't work on me. But when you chant well, it's amazing, because when you chant well, you realize your spiritual advancement does not depend on you. It depends on the holy name. The holy name can purify anybody. Jagai Madai, right? That song, Jagai Madai, even we're purified. Anybody can be purified. So when you chant properly, you get so much inspiration, you get so much taste, and you realize it's not actually you who has that taste and realization. It's the holy name that gave it to you. And the holy name can purify you in such a way that so much of your dormant Krishna consciousness comes out. So that's very important. So that's why I would like you at least to understand or see that there are many problems that develop when we don't try to chant properly, and they become habits. We lose faith, and the whole process of becoming purified. You can't get sunburned at midnight. Should we write a song? You remember this class? You can't get sunburn at midnight. No, no. Can only get sunburn at noon. So, I'm chanting midnight japa, like, why am I not making advancement? I've been chanting for 20 years. It's because it's midnight japa. You can't get sunburn at midnight. Just chant noontime japa. And then, wow, I chanted noontime japa today. I got totally sunburned. Isn't it? Simple point. So I want to stop now. There's so many other things we could say, but I want to see if there's some comments or questions. You want to, Yogeshwar, you want to choose the questions?
Questions in the chat, or should they ask? I mean,
Well, either way is fine. If they can say it, it's better, because then I can hear them, and that helps me. But if not, we can read. It's up to them. You can call on them. Whoever has a question in the chat, you can call in and ask them if they want to ask it, or if they want you to read it.
so in the chat history, I can see there's a question from Darshana Mataji. If Darshana Mataji would like to unmute and would like to ask.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, so the question is, as you said, it's difficult to control the mind. Again, as you said, I have tried at various times of the day. So the morning, very early morning, and afternoon and evening. And the early morning worked, but I thought I'm very, very free. So the mind went in all direction he can or she can. So that was, that was, again, as you said, that was like a fallback for me, or, backstep for me from chanting, because I thought I'm not going in the right direction, because the mind is, just flying in all different directions and put a lot of thoughts.
America is so good.
Is that a statement or a question?
So the question is, in that case, so at the beginner level, do we have to continue chanting, or we need to work on controlling the mind first before we start chanting?
I would say that if you extracted everything I said, you would see that the essence of what I said is that there has to be some shift or preparation before you start chanting. It's like sometimes I call it like the japa chanter's mood. It's a certain consciousness. And as I've taught this and I've thought about this, and if you think about it, you realize that different activities require a different consciousness. Like some of you may know, I make videos every day. At least there's supposed to be one every day. Every day on Facebook, I put up a video, and you think, well, how do you do a video every day? And people see me traveling, go, when did you do the video? No, I did 10 before I left. Because sometimes I'm not in the mood, and like I'll just sit in front of the camera and I don't want to do it because it's going to be boring. And sometimes I'm in the mood and I'm just like, turn the camera on, and what are you going to talk about? I don't know. I don't need to know. I'll just talk. And it just flows because I'm in the mood. And we've all been there doing something, right? Whether it's writing or playing music or speaking or doing your job. And you all know what it's like when you're not in the mood to chant japa. It really doesn't work, right? It's like I said, it's like walking uphill with weights on your back. So then you'll say, okay, the natural question is, well, how do I get in the mood? Well, it will be different for different people. But the first thing I would say to get in the mood is, now I'm going on the altar of the holy name. This is the sound incarnation of Krishna. I'm going on the altar of the holy name. And I need to just like visualize like I'm walking on the altar of the holy name. Now that I'm chanting, things around me, I can't interact with them anymore, externally or internally. There has to be that shift. And if you practice doing that, it'll become easier and easier. But what can help you is to read verses about the holy name, or read anything that you think will help you get more into that mood, the Japa chanter's mood. So I think this is really a big problem for a lot of us. We just pick up our beads and start chanting, and nothing has changed. We're exactly in the same consciousness. Or as I said, maybe in worse consciousness, which is really sad. Like now I go, I was okay. Now I pick up my beads. Now I'm bored. Has that ever happened to you? You start chanting and you start yawning, and it's not ecstatic symptoms. It's making you tired. Has that ever happened? You know, like you were like, what's going on here? I was fine. I was doing something. Now I pick up my beads and I start yawning. So sometimes we can even go down, which is very, very sad. So yes, before you begin chanting, try as best you can to enter into the mood. And even asking the question, what am I doing? What am I trying to accomplish? Just those two questions before you chant. What am I doing? What's actually going on here? Say, oh, I'm a living entity coming in contact with Krishna's pure holy name. That name will awaken my love. I'm connecting to him. It's a relationship. What am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to purify myself. I'm trying to gain a taste for the holy name. I'm trying to become a better devotee, whatever it is. You reflect on it, and then you chant. It's going to be different. That makes sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
If you don't make that adjustment, unless you're very advanced, you won't naturally enter into that. As you're more advanced, you naturally will do that. And as I said, as you practice, if you practice that all the time, at a certain point, you don't have to consciously do it. That's just what you do. Wouldn't that be fantastic? That as soon as you touch your beads, immediately that consciousness just overcomes you. Because, oh, I'm chanting. It's like it's programmed in there. So you just pick up your beads, immediately, everything changes, your posture changes, your mind changes. It's like you've just walked on the altar. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. As soon as you start chanting, you realize, oh, this is something very sacred. This is something very important. It's not to be taken lightly. It's not something I do hanging out with people, talking, or lounging in my chair and trying to get my rounds done. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Right, we've all done it. Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram. You ever done that? Ram, clean your table off, put this away. Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. Organizing japa, cleaning japa, Okay, it's nice you're chanting while you're doing that, but don't count those as rounds. So, yeah. I have another example. I have two more examples. Maybe this will help. Library. When you walk in the library, it's a shift from outside the library, isn't it? Library's quiet, everyone's studying. It's like as soon as you walk in, you can feel the energy, can't you? Isn't it? When you walk in a library, it's like,
Yeah, you have to be quiet. Yeah.
You have to be quiet. Everybody's mind is focused on what they're studying. It's totally outside. It's like, hey, what's going on? Everything's light and loose and free. And you go in the library, it's very focused, right? So there's a shift. And when you walk in the door of that library, you actually shift, isn't it? And as soon as you get both feet in that library, you've shifted, isn't it? You're in a different state of consciousness than you were outside telling jokes with your friends, right? Who do you tell jokes about? Your prime minister or Donald Trump, or both?
Both.
Take your pick, right? That's why Krishna created politicians, so we'd have something, so all the comedians would have something to talk about. Comedians in America, they love to talk about Trump. It's like, I think like if Trump were president, they'd have no jokes. So, and then the other example is the surgeon. So I'm not a surgeon, but I can imagine if I were, when I go into the operating room, there would be a big shift of focus, right? So whatever else is going on in my life, with my children, with my wife, with other patients and so forth. When I go into that operating room, you know that surgeon, it's shut off. It has to be, otherwise he can't do it. Would you like surgery with a guy, you know, what's happening while he's cutting your heart open? I don't think so.
Not in
He's
this
cutting your
life.
heart open. So let me just answer this message, you know. That is a really cool Facebook thing here. I want to watch this kitten playing. You know, we'll get to your heart later. I don't think so. He would be sued. He would lose his license. So if you can remember these examples, like the surgeon going into the library, or the young boy meets the young girl, you know, they're going out on a date. As soon as he sees her, he's like on his best behavior. He's a different guy, isn't he? He's with his friends, you know, they're joking, they're laughing, they're punching one another, they're talking dirty to one another. Then he sees the girl and he says, oh, we're going out on a date. And he's very proper. So we have these experiences in life. When you go from one situation to another, you're laughing, right? Because, I was giving a class and we were talking about that it's true that men are more well-behaved when women are around. Did you know that? As soon as you list guys around, they'll destroy the house, right? As soon as a woman comes in, they start cleaning up and sitting up, isn't it? So these are just examples that their shifts are made according to the environment, the situation. And so we just need to understand that chanting is a little bit like going on the altar, or a surgeon going into surgery, or a student going to the library. There's a shift. And when you make the shift, what's the shift? Now I'm with Krishna. Now I'm praying to Krishna. Now I'm offering my heart to Krishna. This is very sacred. The holy name is the greatest gift I have. And all these thoughts are going through your mind. Or if you're more advanced, you start thinking about Krishna's pastimes, or at least thinking, I'd like to be in those pastimes. You're expressing your desire. That's a different kind of chanting. And that chanting will build more faith in the holy name, and it will result in more purity. And you will see the difference in your life. The results will be amazingly different, right? The difference between knowing how to use a product and not. When I was younger, I can't say when I was younger, I have to say when I was young, because I'm not young anymore. Well, young at heart, right? So I was very much into music, and at this time, synthesizers were just starting to come on the market. This was the 1980s. Before that, they just had organs and maybe electric pianos and a few kinds of electric. Then they came with synthesizers, like 500 sounds. And those synthesizers were computers, and they're extremely complicated, and hardly anybody got into the depth of the complication. But the things you could do with those synthesizers were amazing. You know, they were made by the Japanese. And it's the same with the holy name. As you get into it, it starts to open up, and you realize there's so much more there than I ever experienced, ever thought. And so much changes in your life. So that's my long answer to your short question.
Really helpful,
Oh.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Very helpful. Those examples were very, very helpful.
Yeah, if you can remember those, yeah. But you will see just by trying to put your life, like take your life and lock it in the closet until you finish your japa, and it's just like you tell yourself, I'm not going to be dealing with any of this stuff. Now I'm chanting. If you can develop that habit, it becomes so much easier to chant, because you don't have to battle your mind, because you haven't given your mind permission to think about anything else. Yeah, you ever understand this psychology, that sometimes you have to kind of make a deal with your mind? Have you ever done that before? I once went to this financial workshop, and they said, you should invest 10% of your income. You should invest it. That means you don't get to spend it on your big new TV. You got to invest it in something long term. And you should give 10% in charity. And they said, but you should give 10% for yourself, for your fun. Just do whatever you want with it. So let's say you make 4,000 pounds a month and you only need 3,000. So you take 10% of the 4,400, and then you give a donation. 400 you invest, and then, well, you'll need to make a little more. So you need to make 4,600, and then another 400 or 4,200, whatever. Another 400 you invest in your fun. That means that 400 this month, you can do whatever you want with it. You can buy your TV, you can go on a vacation. He said, why? He said, because you're doing austerity. So in order to do austerity of investing money when you could spend it, you have to leave a little for yourself to spend. I don't know if it was actually 10%, but you, I don't even know. Why did I say that? What was I saying before that? Who can remind me? I was leading in from something and I can't remember.
Dealing with the mind.
Yeah, dealing with the mind. Yeah, exactly. At least somebody's listening. People say, Prabhu, what was the lecture about? I have no idea. Ask the students. I can't remember anything I said. Krishna is speaking through me. I don't know what I'm saying. You have to tell me what I said. So it was kind of like a trick on the mind, like you don't want to exercise. And so you tell your mind, no, well, if you exercise every day and you watch your diet, on Sunday, you don't have to exercise and you can eat whatever you want. So it's kind of, okay, deal. So you make a deal. It's like sometimes we have to make deals with our mind. So you make a deal with your mind. Okay, while I'm chanting, nothing else. We won't do anything else. You can do it all after. Do whatever you want after, but while you're chanting. And it helps if you try that. It helps you because you see when you make deals with your mind, it's like it controls where your mind's going to go. It's like we do this all the time, like when we're working. I'm working on a project right now. It was so hard for me to finish. I had to make deals with my mind to finish it. It was straining my brain so much. I don't know why, but it was really, really difficult. And just, okay, do it early in the morning. It'll be easier in the morning. Your mind's fresher. You ever do that? Like, kind of work around. You kind of talk with your mind and, my dear mind, before 8 o'clock, don't talk to anybody, just chat or something. This is your time. You make a deal with your mind. This time of day, I'm just going to chant. I don't talk to anybody. I don't do anything. And then the mind, you will see the mind will just say, okay, it'll fight in the beginning, but after a while, you'll just keep reminding it. Say, the mind will say, let's go do something else. And you go, no, not till 8 o'clock. If you have an agreement from 7 to 8, I'm chanting, or 6 to 8. After 8, you're chanting japa. Let's see what's in the refrigerator. What did my wife buy? Hare Krishna. You just make a deal with your mind. Okay, before 8 o'clock, nothing. Have you ever done that before? Make a deal with your mind?
Yeah, while working. Yes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try that definitely.
You have to make it every Sunday night, Monday morning. Otherwise, you'll never make it to work, right? So yeah. So you can do the same thing with japa. And it works. You'd be surprised how well it works. See, the other thing I was thinking, when we're chanting, we want to control our mind so we can hear, but we don't want to invest all our energy in controlling our mind, because then it's like instead of getting into the bhav of the holy name and praying to the holy name, we put too much energy into controlling the mind, and it's not good. You understand the psychology? It's better to think of what you want to do than to think of what you don't want to do. You know that psychology? Don't think of what you don't want to do, think of what you want to do. So, so controlling the mind sometimes is like, it's a lot of energy of like, I don't want to be thinking. And you always end up thinking about what you don't want to be thinking, right? Isn't it true?
Very
if I
true.
say,
Yeah.
don't think, if I don't think of this. Isn't it? So I don't think it's good that we put all this energy. I have to control my mind. I shouldn't be thinking like this. Shouldn't have to bring the thought. You want to be focused on the holy name. And if you just put your mind on the off switch, it removes having to put that energy into trying to control the mind, right? It's like, guys, your wife wants to talk to you. And she's talking to you and you're thinking, oh, there's the football game on TV in 10 minutes. You don't hear anything she says, right? Or whatever you're thinking, right? And she's upset. And then you realize that was the wrong time to talk. And so your wife says, well, can we set aside a time every night? And so you figure, okay, well, the time I won't be distracted is this time from 8 to 8:30. It's like the perfect time for me because we just finished dinner and any work I had to do for the office, I'll get it done. And there's nothing else I need to do, whatever. So then now you can listen because there's nothing else going on. You just carve that time out. And it's kind of like, it's like that with the mind. Carve time out and say, okay, we're carving time out for japa. And then you figure, what's the best time to carve out where I will be in the best state? Does that make sense? Or does that make pence? We have to say, does that make pence? Because you don't have sense.
No, perfectly answered. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. We'll try all of them, even the library one.
Yeah. Just remember, yeah. It'll work. It'll work. I was thinking of something really funny today. Should I tell you?
Yes, please.
Chanting is synergistic. It can't just be one thing. It's a whole lifestyle. You know, you have to, like Mahaprabhu says, you have to chant humbly. It's okay. I should control my mind. I should be focused. I should be prayerful. I should be humble. I should be respectful. I should have good, you need so many things. So I was thinking some devotee someday is going to make a video of Donald Trump chanting japa. And Donald Trump saying, nobody chants japa like me. I mean, I've been to all the workshops. I have the best mentors, So I was thinking, you can't think like that and chant good japa because it's a whole consciousness. You have to be humble. You have to be respectful to devotees. You can't be proud. So we've isolated one thing you can do, but I don't want you to think if you just do that, everything is, fine. It's a whole lifestyle. It's a whole consciousness. It's isn't it? I was also thinking, Mahaprabhu says, chant the holy name in a humble state of mind. And how does he define humility? Well, think yourself lower than the straw in the street and be more tolerant than a tree and don't want to be respected and offer respect to others, which practically no conditioned soul could do, but we're trying, right? But he says one can chant the holy name in that state of mind. So a foolish devotee will think, okay, I'll be humble when I chant, and when I stop chanting, I don't have to be humble anymore. Because he said, chant in humble state of mind. Okay, I finished my rounds. Phew, finished with all that humility. That's too hard. I'm not a humble person. So now I can be arrogant. No, it doesn't work like that. It's a lifestyle. When he says chant in a humble state of mind, he means be humble all the time, right? Don't offend devotees, be respectful, like that. So we want to understand that also, because sometimes if you're having difficulty in chanting, it may reflect on something else. Like maybe you're having a bad relationship with a devotee, or you may have made an offense, or you may become arrogant about something or intolerant. It can actually affect your chanting. So these are things we want to look at. It's a whole lifestyle. The japa lifestyle. It's not just, okay, I chant for 2 hours, an hour, or whatever. No, but your whole lifestyle is affecting what goes on while you're chanting is affected by what you're doing when you're not chanting. Have any of you experienced that before? Like you've done some austerity, like Govardhan Parikrama or something, and your japa just, or you preached about chanting, or you introduced people to chanting, and then your japa just got better. Like you didn't even have to do anything. Yeah. Works the other way also. It works up and it works down. Be careful. Yeah. Okay, more questions.
We have Karthik Prabhu to ask question. Karthik Prabhu, you
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can we imagine like showing Arati like that during the Japa? And you mentioned we can imagine the pastimes of the Lord during the
Yes.
Japa. And then last one is when we chant extra rounds for anybody well-being, how do we do that?
Well, let's go back to the first. Have you ever read this meditation where Prabhupada said you can create a throne in your heart made of diamond, and then you can clean it, and then bring Krishna, and then you can offer flowers, or some devotees say flowers of the holy name. Like you can meditate on Krishna. You can create an altar in yourself. You can meditate on Krishna when you chant. Have you heard that before? Prabhupada described that? That's really means to build a diamond altar, bring Krishna in, bathe him, offer him flowers, puja, feed him. You can do that in your heart. So one pujari said that when I chant japa, I've done so much pujari work, I just think like I'm offering every mantra as a flower I'm offering to Krishna. It's just natural. And regarding thinking of the pastimes, Prabhupada said it shouldn't be forced, it should be natural, and it naturally evolves on a certain level of bhakti. So, devotees would say, can we think of the pastimes? And Prabhupada would say, of course, but it shouldn't be forced, artificial. It should, because the pastimes are actually contained in the holy name. Because the holy name is Krishna. Whenever Krishna is, there's pastime. So when I say Hare Krishna, Krishna's there. If Krishna's there, devotees are there, pastimes are there. His qualities are there. Nama, his forms there, Rupa, Guna, Lila. So now, so it should evolve naturally. But if you're reading Bhagavatam regularly and you're reading Krishna book, naturally those pastimes will come. But as you evolve, you'll see them because the holy name is Krishna and there are the pastimes. So it becomes a natural evolution. So Prabhupada's point was it shouldn't be artificial. Because artificial could also mean it's above your level, above your adhikari. And it could also distract you from chanting as well. So your last point was about chanting rounds for other people and praying for their well-being. Was that the question? Where?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, this is an interesting discussion, and it might take more than me to give the answer. You may want to ask this to other devotees. The heart of a devotee is, it breaks when he sees people suffer. So he wants to help other people. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that when compassion arises, then you can chant the pure holy name. But in my studies of the holy name, I've never seen any direct verses or instructions about chanting japa for another person. Praying for another person, of course. And so we could say, well, I'm praying for this person, I'm praying through the holy name. So yes, that makes sense. But like, I will chant 2 rounds for you, 2 rounds for her. I've never read anything like that. It's only that we could surmise that because a devotee is compassionate, that he would want to pray for others. So praying for others is not a problem. Exactly 2 rounds for you, 2 rounds for you, 2 rounds for you. Oh, Prabhu, can you give me 2? Because I only finish 14 rounds today. If you give me 2, I'll have 16. Well, who knows where it's going to end up, right? So the mood is good. The mood is proper. I wouldn't deny that. But I've never heard Prabhupada specifically say, chant for another person. Now, there's another problem. Because a lot of times when we would chant for another person, it's because they're in trouble. There's difficulty, like health or financial, or they've applied for a job or applied for university, or they're taking their exams. And the holy name should never be used for anything material. That's considered an offense if you employ the holy name in asking the holy name for something material. Now, if we like pray for Bhakti Swami, that's not material because he's a devotee, he's a Vaishnava. But if you just pray for another person who's not a devotee so that they can get better, so that they can again engage in their material activities, that's improper use of the holy name. You would have to pray that they would be open to Krishna consciousness, or that Krishna would bless them in their life. So you have to be careful what you pray for, because we don't want to utilize the holy name for something material. The holy name, Mahaprabhu didn't give the holy name so people could get material things from it, even though it could give it, because it's Chintamani, which means it could give it. But if we chant for something material, it's considered an offense, one of the 10 offenses. So you have to be careful in how you're praying. So in summary, I would say there's nothing wrong in chanting for the well-being of another person. If it's not material well-being, or if it's material well-being, but that person would utilize that material well-being in Krishna service, right? So if you're not healthy, we'll all pray for you, because we know when you regain your health, you employ that in Krishna service. Or you have a project, we pray for the success of your project. That project is for devotional service, something like that. But maybe there are some verses or some reference somewhere, but I haven't seen a particular reference of chanting for a person. Maybe it's there. Maybe somebody knows. I haven't seen it. I don't think it's wrong in general concept, but I don't know if it's exactly like, well, I gave 4 rounds to this person, so that, it's more just your prayer. I'm praying for this person, and the intensity and the time you pray. But in terms of, I gave 2 rounds to my mother, 4 to my mother-in-law because she really needs help, 1 to my brother, and like it, I've never seen anything like that. Is that okay? Have you ever seen anything? Any of you have seen some verse like that? I would appreciate if someone has it. Maybe if you could send it to me, I'd like to see it. Before I forget, which I always forget. As you know, my name's Mahatma Das. If you put .com after Mahatma Das, then you go to my website. On my website, there's a lot more about Japa. A lot about Japa. And we have a section where you just click on Japa. It's on the home page a little bit on the left, and down on the home page, there's various topics: forgiveness, marriage, Japa, like that. And so it's supposed to, I hope it does, connect to all the lectures I've given on Japa and all the articles I've written on Japa, so that you can go further with that. And I also have a forgiveness course. It's a proper online forgiveness course, and that's available off my website. And then I also I have classes every morning, which it's at 8 o'clock, so it's 1 p.m. your time. Monday through Friday, we're doing classes. It's been really nice. We're reading a lot from Prabhupada, and lots of question and answer interaction. So you're all welcome. That's on my Facebook page, my professional page, mahatmadas.com. And if you don't have my Japa Affirmations book, you can get it on Amazon.com and my other books as well. Okay. I always forget to say those things until we end the class, and I go, oh, I never told anybody. So I have a lot of my
question regarding Japa. So sometimes it happens that either I go by train and start doing the Japa in the train without saying loudly the mantra. You can't hear the mantra, but you are doing in your heart, or just you are lip syncing. You are not properly sounding, and it is not coming into your ear. Even sometimes in the home in the morning, children is sleeping and you don't want to noise too much so that they will wake. So in that case, what is your suggestion, whether we should do or we should stop?
Well, you want to hear something interesting? You know in Sanskrit what the word japa means? Japa actually means to murmur. like this. Krishna, Krishna. That's what japa means. And kirtan means Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. When we were young devotees, you know how we chanted japa? Because we didn't sleep enough? Let me see if I can demonstrate this. I can't see myself. How do I see myself? What do I do to see myself? Can you put me on the main? Oh, this is really funny. I want to keep you entertained because we're going a long
Yeah,
time.
maybe host can put on spotlight. I mean, because he's on spotlight. I mean, you are on spotlight in our screen, but I don't know what you're on.
Oh, okay. But I don't see myself. Anyway, I'm going to put my camera up. So I'm going to stand up. So probably, can you see me now, standing up? Or
Yes.
can you see my head?
Yes.
We would actually chant, we were like 20-year-old brahmacharis. This is how we chanted japa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Because if we didn't, we would fall asleep. And we were very passionate. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So, technically speaking, that's actually kirtan, even though it's just one of us. All right, can you see me now? Is it okay? And technically speaking, that's kirtan, and technically speaking, this, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, that's japa. We did a japa every Friday at noon my time, which is 5-year time. We do a japa session. And I was like chanting back here, a little bit away. And the devotee said, can you chant closer? We couldn't hear you. I said, you couldn't hear me because I whisper when I chanted. That's how I chant. And that's perfectly okay. And one of my godbrothers, Badahari, Badahari Prabhu, he said, you know, I like whispering when I chant, but I'm screaming inside. So even though it's inside, you could be exploding with intense desire. So it's fine. You can chant very softly. And for some people, it actually helps them concentrate. It actually helps me concentrate. It sounds funny because you would think chanting more loudly, you would concentrate, but it actually helps me concentrate. It brings me more in. And when I Hare Krishna, it's kind of like I'm out. But when I was younger, chanting loudly helped me. Prabhupada said, yes, when you need to control your mind, chant loudly. So it will depend on the individual. So yeah, don't wake up your kids, because if you do, they'll grow up being woken up by the Hare Krishna mantra, and they may resent the mantra when they're older. As strange as that sounds, it could happen. You know, because it'll remind them that they got woken up all the time with that mantra. I don't want to chant. Psychology is strange, but it works like that.
Thanks,
Right?
Prabhu. Got my answer. Yeah.
We have few more devotees, raising hands. So we just wanted to make sure that you have time. I mean, some more time. There is no kind of straight after 5 p.m.
Well, it's, here in Alachua, it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur's disappearance day. How about for you?
Okay,
Also?
ours is tomorrow.
Yeah. So I break my fast in 12 minutes.
In 12 minutes. Okay, let's see. So we have Heman Prabhu raising hand. So please, Heman Prabhu.
Heman, where are you?
Dandavat Pranam. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving us your invaluable association. I was going to make it 2 questions, but I understand that you're going to break your fast. So I will just ask one simple one, Prabhu. You just mentioned that we don't progress in our spiritual life if we are doing offensive chanting. I just wanted to know, Prabhu, so even if we are...
Progress is slowed. Let's just say it's slowed down. Offensive chanting will slow it down. And if it's extremely offensive, it can stop it. If it's even more offensive, it can destroy it.
I think
just for clarification.
You gave the answer, Prabhu. So this is what I was going to ask. So is there any spiritual benefit if we do offensive chanting? So you answered that just now.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said we should ask for forgiveness to the holy name for offensive chanting. And, if I've offended a devotee, that's also offending the holy name, and then I have to ask that devotee for forgiveness. And yeah, there's a story. I want to tell you a story. I don't know if you heard this. It's very interesting. There were, most of Prabhupada's disciples were hippies before they joined. And some of them, they didn't give up Krishna consciousness entirely, but they kind of went back to their hippie lifestyle, drugs and so forth, illicit connection with the opposite sex. And so some devotees left, started their own community, and they were following probably two regulative principles. So they were vegetarian and no gambling, but the other two not so strict. So the GBC had spoken to them, and he was trying to reason with them. And they said that, well, at least we're chanting Hare Krishna. We may not be following all the principles, but at least we're chanting Hare Krishna. So this GBC reported this to Prabhupada. This is what they're doing, and this is what they said. And Prabhupada said, but that chanting is disobeying the order of the Guru, because you made a vow to follow four principles, and you're voluntarily only following two. It's not like you're slipping and you're trying not to slip. You're not even trying. You're consciously breaking two principles to so-called enjoy. And so the devotee said, Prabhupada, they're breaking these principles, but they say at least they're chanting Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada said, that chanting 300 lifetimes, maybe it'll take effect. So, it's midnight japa. Maybe in 300 lifetimes, you'll finally get to the sunrise, because you're offending your guru by not following his instruction. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if one is committing offenses to the holy name, he could chant 100 rounds a day and not make advancement. So then we have to ask, well, what is that offense they're making? Offending a pure devotee, that's a big offense. Yeah, then we can understand. Yeah, you're offending a pure devotee, so what's the good of your 100 rounds? It's a contradiction. So I think for most devotees, our offenses are not so great, and our offenses are more incidental, just due to our weakness. And so there's a difference between weakness and offensive. Because weakness is kind of like, I'm a conditioned soul trying, but so I'm distracted when I chant. It's not that I want to be, but I'm trying not to be. Or I criticize the devotee just because I'm a critical person. I'm stupid and I said it. Not like I'm blasphemous of that devotee. Not like I'm going to go out on the internet and tell everybody the devotee's bad. It's just I'm weak, or I'm lacking some self-esteem or something, so I pull people down. So it's different. So to the degree of the offense, it's going to hamper our spiritual life. And if we can become free from offense, then the holy name can work very quickly. Here's something really interesting. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book, Jaiva Dharma, there's a story of two devotees who got the holy name. And they went home and started chanting 64 rounds or more every day. And they came back in a week, and they told their guru they're experiencing all the symptoms of bhava in 1 week. So I just did a daily video. It's called 1 Week to Bhava. I thought that would capture people's attention. Finally, I can learn how to get to bhava in a week. Yeah. Well, if you chant without offense, 64 rounds, yeah, you'll get bhava probably in a week. But it may take you your whole life. It may take your whole life to get to that point of chanting without offense. So anyway, be careful. Okay. You got more than you bargained for with that answer, right? Hare Krishna. So we have another question?
We have Deepa Datri Mataji.
Deepali or Deepa?
Deepa Datri Mataji. Mataji, yes, you can.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for such an amazing workshop. It's been very inspiring and really has changed my outlook on how I should be doing japa and how I should be listening. So my question was, I really like the analogy you gave about going on the altar of holy name, just as we go on altar to do deity worship. So you mentioned about that we need to prepare ourselves internally. So how do we do that, please? Thank you, Prabhu.
I like what Satyananda Swami said, that chanting is a relationship. So I think the maybe misunderstanding, the innocent misunderstanding is chanting will awaken the relationship. So it's like, I don't have a relationship now, it'll awaken it when I'm pure. Like Baba, then I know my Swarup, I know who I am in Krishna Lila, and I think that's the relationship, and I have no relationship now. But what Maharaj was saying is, when we chant, there's two things happening, or two things existing. One is you, and one is the holy name. So there's a relationship between you and Krishna and the holy name. So when I'm chanting, it's very powerful to think I'm in relationship now. Krishna is here, he's with me, we're in relationship. Another thing, like I was saying before, what does the holy name mean? So what am I trying to do? Like I'm chanting now, what's the point? What's the goal? What am I trying to accomplish? What is the meaning of the mantra? Because if I understand the meaning, then I can develop the proper mood in chanting. I have this, we're gonna start, if I can send to you, maybe just Yogeshwar, I send to you. We're starting a Facebook Japa group. It's a Facebook group for Japa. And I've created about 25 meditations to like answer your question, meditations to prepare you. And I can share those with you. And when we need to get feedback, we want to create an app from that. But in one of those meditations, it's just to meditate on my position, my material existence. I fell into this world. I turned my back to Krishna. I suffered. And now when I'm chanting, what am I doing? I'm begging Krishna, will you let me back in? I want this relationship. Will you let me back into the relationship that I forgot? So when you understand the meaning, then the emotion will follow. If you don't understand the meaning, the emotion won't follow. And I'll give an example. This is interesting. This may not be a problem for you, but a problem for people who are not from India is that when they chant bhajans, they often don't know what they're saying. They may know generally what the song's about, but as they're saying the words, they don't know them. So even though they're in Bengali, if you grow up speaking Gujarati or Hindi, or you're from South India, a lot of times you kind of understand it because the words are similar, isn't it? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his songs that begins Manasa Deha Geha, mind, body, family, I offer to you. One of the verses he says, Marobi Rakobi, in life or in death. You know, like, give me life. No, it's like, you can give me life, give me death. Now, that's like a heavy thing to pray for, isn't it? Give me life, give me death. So I was doing a workshop on prayer and I asked the devotees, have you ever prayed to Krishna that if you want, you can take my life? Have you ever gone to the deities and said, if you like, you can take my life? And nobody raised their hand. And I said, this is interesting. Have you ever chanted Manasa Deha Geha? And practically everybody, or not everybody, 100% said yeah. And I said, did you know that's what you were praying? And everybody said, no, I didn't know. So it's a very simple thing. How will I know the mood of the prayer if I don't even know what it means? You know, like if you say, Mahatma Prabhu, say this in Gujarati or say this in Hindi, and I don't know what it means. How do I know what emotion? I'll just be like a robot saying it. Kimcho, or you know, Kesehe, Saptike. I don't know what it means. I can't. Kesehe. Oh, it's a question. Saptike. Cha. Okay, now I know what it means, so I can say, you know, Mera Naam Mahatma Hai. If I don't know what that means, then Mera Naam Mahatma Hai. I can't put any emotion because I don't know what I'm saying. Right? So sometimes we chant Hare Krishna like it's another language that we don't understand. But what we understand, the meaning is, Krishna, here I am in Maya, and I finally realized after millions of lifetimes, I don't like Maya. It's a bad deal. I'm tired of playing God. I mean, basically, I was joking with my wife the other day. I was washing the dishes. It was 10:30 at night, and there were lots of dishes. She said, could you wash them? And because I'm such an amazing husband, I did it. And guys, if you want bonus points from your wife, wash dishes. Washing dishes can solve so many problems in Grihastha. You don't have to know anything else about Grihastha. All you have to know is you have to wash dishes and sweep the floor, and you're like, don't be a slob. It's great. So I was washing the dishes. All the women are like, yeah, he's right. So I was washing the dishes at 10:30 at night. I was really tired. I wanted to take rest. And I was joking with my wife, and it's like, it's kind of, it was inconvenient, and I was tired. It was like, you know what it's like when you're tired. You don't want to do anything. And I was joking. I said, this playing God stuff that we're doing in this world here is kind of difficult, getting kind of boring, tiresome. I'm kind of like tired of playing God. I want to play God, and I end up washing dishes at 10:30 at night. Like something went wrong somewhere, didn't it? I'm trying to play God, and I've got this job, and I'm like, between commuting and working, it's like 13 hours a day, and I barely get enough money to pay my bills for a little small flat, that you can walk in and out of the flat in like 4 seconds. I go, this playing God stuff, it's not working. So what does the Maha Mantra mean? That's what it means. I'm trying to play God, and I got a bad deal, and I just suffered, and I don't want to. I don't want to play God anymore. I want to love you, but I'm so conditioned to love myself. Please, please, please help me. Help me, help me, help me. Become a pure servant, a pure devotee. So that's the mood. So when you understand that, then when you chant japa, then you can enter that mood, because that is the mood. That's what Prabhupada explained. Please serve me. The connotation of please serve me is I don't want to serve Maya. The connotation is I've served Maya so long. I've suffered. I don't want to do it anymore. The connotation is, even though I don't want to do it anymore, I'm conditioned to do it. I need your help to overcome the condition because I have the tendency to do it. That's the mood of the mantra, isn't it? You agree? That's the mood. That's what it is. So when you understand that, then you won't be like singing, like, what's so funny? If you don't know what Marobi Rakobi means, you sing Marobi Rakobi. You're just singing kill me. You don't sing kill me like that. Kill me if you like. You don't sing it like that, do you? Because you don't know what the word means. Marobi Rakobi. It sounds like you're at a fair, eating cotton candy or something. Marobi Rakobi. No, it's really serious. But because you don't know what it means, you might sing it with the wrong melody. So it's like you don't know what the Maha Mantra means. You sing it with the wrong melody. But once you know this is what it is, I'm connecting, I'm praying, Krishna, please relieve me from this burdensome life and consciousness. Then, then it's good. Bhotacha. Yes? Does that make sense? Who asked the question? Sangeeta, you?
Yes,
No,
Prabhu. That was great. And the examples were really great too. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So there's a lecture where Prabhupada explains this. And I took this lecture and I expanded it and I made a guided meditation. And the guided meditation is called Crying Like a Baby. And we just meditate on our whole fall into the material world, how we try to be God, how we became frustrated, and how the Maha Mantra is that prayer to bring us back to that original position. It's really, really beautiful. And once we get that Facebook group going, then you can join it and you can hear these meditations.
Jay, will do. Thank you, Prabhu.
So in answer to your question, I have like 25 ways to think about the holy name. There's one other thing I wanted to say. This is really interesting. The holy name can help you in so many ways in your life because it empowers you where you're weak. And if you're having trouble controlling your mind or your senses or overcoming envy or whatever it is, or letting go of an attachment or facing some difficulty, you can use the holy name to empower you. And what's even more interesting is you can use the holy name to empower you to improve your chanting. So you can pray to the holy name to chant better, just as you would pray to the holy name, help me detach from this or help me overcome my anger. You can pray to the holy name to help you chant better. So, I was thinking of this morning, and part of me feels like no devotee should have any problem because we have the holy name. And you can always pray to the holy name. But ironically, sometimes when we have problems, we take shelter in Maya. We run into the fire that we got burnt in to find shelter, isn't it? take shelter in sense gratification. So it's just a beautiful thought to know that whatever's going on in my life, whatever problem I have this holy name. We're going to make a t-shirt, and it's going to look like this. Maybe we'll have Prabhupada chanting Japa, picture like that. And above it, it'll say, whatever the problem, the solution is in your hands. And it'll have like that. It's the truth. Okay, I mean, obviously there's some material problems the holy name was not designed to solve, but most problems, the solution is in your hands. It's a cool t-shirt, isn't it? We're working on it. We're just designing. We're going to have I'm going to have all kinds of t-shirts. We have another one. The t-shirt says, I'm proud to be humble. And we have another one that says, never stop dancing, in parenthesis, except to take prasad. So these little, little KC nugget thoughts, the t-shirts come out of my classes. Practically every class, something comes out and I go, oh, that's a good t-shirt. So I've given everyday classes for like 2.5 months. I got a lot of t-shirts. We have a list of like 30. So we're just picking the best ones. We're working on it. Okay. Any more questions?
There are actually 5 questions. So whatever you say, we will do. Because
you all want to stay longer?
Yeah, we are fine with whatever you say.
I used to preach in London in 1983. And the weather was so bad in the winter, people would just come to the temple and wouldn't want to leave. And I'd stay up till 11 o'clock at night preaching to them because there was nothing to do. They didn't have any money. They couldn't find a job. And they didn't want to go outside. It was too cold and dark. So, yeah. So, how's the weather out there today? Sunny?
It's okay. Actually, it's sunny. It's nice weather. It's very nice.
What's the temperature? What's the temperature?
Temperature should be, more than 20 for sure.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe 25 even. I haven't checked, but it's definitely hot.
Want to hear something funny? 25 is like where we set our air conditioner on here. 25 for you is it's like hot, right? And that's where we set our air conditioner.
It's 22, Prabhu.
It's 22. Okay.
22. 22 is not bad. Yeah. Room temperature, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So shall we go ahead with the next question if you allow?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Ashima Mataji, I think she was asking.
Yeah, Haribol Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, my question is yesterday my mother told me that if something happens to me, so don't keep me in hospital, bring me home and chant with me, chant in front of me, because when we are in that condition, so our body is not in that condition to remember the Krishna consciousness or Krishna name.
Yeah.
So right. You need to remind me that Krishna consciousness so that in my last time I can remember God name, because what happens normally, we used to keep, if condition is not good, we used to keep them in hospital and wait whatever happens. So I was a bit surprised because something happened and she realized something and told me. So I was bit worried also, and I'm not able to understand exactly what's this condition is and what I don't know if I'm asking correct thing or not.
Well, I have something. Her thinking is correct, but King Kolik Shakar said, "Let me die now." So while I'm thinking of you, because at the time of death, I may the body may not function, and I can't think of you. But Prabhupada said something really nice. He said, "If you forget Krishna, if you're a devotee and you forget Krishna, Krishna will remember you. That even though you can't remember him because of the trauma of dying, he'll remember you." So that's there also. But her thinking is right. She wants to, as far as possible, be able to chant or remember Krishna. So that's good. And we have to have this perspective. And I can't speak specifically to her situation, but there was a devotee named Jayananda, and Jayananda Prabhu had leukemia, and at some point he didn't want to fight it. It was expensive, time consuming, and he didn't know if he could overcome it. So he wrote to Prabhupada and said, "I just feel like not fighting it and leaving my body. And Prabhupada agreed, said, what's the use? So there is that sentiment in the life of the devotee that, you know, why should I be a vegetable and try to maintain my life on some artificial way and be, you know, vegetating? Let me just, you know, fast and die and go back, you know. So the whole goal of Krishna consciousness, of human life, is to die in Krishna consciousness. So, you know, if she dies a month or two earlier, or even a year in perfect Krishna consciousness, or she lives a year in hell, what's the point? You know, just keeping her alive on some life support system, and she's not really conscious. So we're not, you know, as devotees, we're not, you know, we don't value life in terms of years. We value it in terms of quality of Krishna consciousness. And, you know, sometimes we lament when a young child dies, you know, like a teenager devotee, like really good devotee, and they die. And it's lamentable. But from another point of view, if we know that they were perfect in Krishna consciousness and they've gone back to Godhead, we think, wow, they're really fortunate. They only had to live like 15 years in this horrible, miserable body and miserable world. I mean, you know, look at the world right now. We have a friend here. She was diagnosed with fourth stage cancer, and she's probably gonna, the doctors say probably October she'll leave her body. And she's only 35, so it's heavy. And I know her. I think I knew her when she was like a baby. And I was thinking, I wouldn't tell this to her, but I was thinking, this is no fair. You get to go back to Godhead, and we have to stay here. You're so lucky. And we have to stay here with this COVID-19 and you know, and now we're getting this like full uncovering of how the Africans have been mistreated and how bad that makes you feel to hear this. And it just makes you realize how bad the human beings are. And then you have these politicians doing horrible things and the economy going down. It's like, you're so lucky. You get to go back to God, and we have to sit here and deal with this. So that's another way. That was my first thought. You might think, that's a strange way to think. But actually, it's not. That's the way our Shastras teach us. Not that we wish that any young kid would die. Oh, you're so fortunate you would die. But it's another way to, perspective to put on it. So, you know, if your mother can be saved and live a healthy life, then why? Why should she die? But if it's just artificially keeping her alive and at the risk of her not being Krishna conscious, that's not good. And I have one other story. This is really interesting. We have not a god sister, god niece, you could say. And she was very Krishna conscious, and she was diagnosed with cancer. So she went, very attached to Vrindavan. So she went to Vrindavan every day. They'd go around Parikrama. And she's like, I don't want to live. I've lived long enough. I just want to die doing, you know, die on the Parikrama trail. And guess what happened? She got better. And she was so depressed. She said, I wanted to die. Isn't that interesting? And then it got worse again. And everyone said, have an operation. No, I don't want to live. No, you must live. She had the operation. She came out of the operation. She said, I was hoping I was going to die. She was depressed that she was still alive. So, you know, no ordinary person would think that way. She was very Krishna conscious. And that's the actual right way to think. And one other story, it's just so interesting. I don't know if you know this, but in 1975, I was in Mayapur on a morning, and every time Prabhupada came back from the morning walk, all the leading devotees, like the sannyasis especially, would meet all the devotees. When we would greet Prabhupada, he would go back into his room, and then the sannyasis would stay there, and they would tell us what Prabhupada spoke about. Everybody wanted to hear who didn't go on the walk, right? And then they dropped the bomb. He said, Prabhupada said there's going to be a world war. Can you imagine what we were thinking? It's 1975. I was 25 years old. Your spiritual master, who's no ordinary spiritual master, comes back and tells you there's going to be a world war. And later on, I heard that walk, or a similar walk. And one of the GBC men was asking Prabhupada, you know, do we move the deities? Do we move the temple? Do we find, you know, land in an area where it's free from, It's a zone which is unlikely to be affected by a war. And Prabhupada just looked at him and said, "You're going to die either today or tomorrow. What's your problem?" Like he said, "You think you're not going to die? You were thinking you're not going to die. So you die now or you die in 25 years. That's the way the transcendentalist looks at it. And if you're going to die and go back to Krishna, unless you're going to live a healthy life to do service, what's the point of maintaining the body, right? Just put other people in trouble, have to take care of it, and for you to vegetate. And it's understandable if you can do service. But Prabhupada was like that also. Why maintain my body? I can't do service. Okay, it's time for some comedy.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
I have to read something to you. This is not comedy, but this is interesting. There's a prayer to the Japa beads. The holy name is the savior of the fallen. Oh, please deliver the lowest of men. Obeisances again and again unto Sri Chaitanya, unto Sri Sri Radha Krishna. This is a devotee praying to the Japa beads. And then, O Mala, among all of the gods, you are considered the bestower of all perfection. By dint of this fact, O Mother, please grant me perfection. Obeisances unto you. Now, this is a prayer obviously to Tulsi Mala. I'm looking through the Shastra to find the prayers to the clicker, and I haven't found any prayers to the clicker yet. So people say, what do you think about a clicker? I say, well, I'm looking for I only know prayers to the Mala. I don't know prayers to the clicker. So that's my answer to that. You can use that answer. Okay, we have another question.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Oh, clicker,
Thank you.
the touch of your metal stem as I click up and down is like ambrosia to my ears. So nectar, there's no such prayer. Anyway, okay, next question.
Danish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Ganesh?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
DANESH.
Yeah.
DA?
NESH. Danesh.
Is your video up there?
Sorry Prabhu, can you see me Prabhu? Hare Krishna Prabhu.
If you go on video and you talk. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have basically two questions, Prabhu. Could you kindly answer? So first question is if we have done Namaprada by knowingly or unknowingly, sometimes we do that. So how to ask for forgiveness to Namaprada? That is first question.
Okay, let me answer that. That's easy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, by remorse is I feel bad that I did it. I feel bad that I made the offense, and then I pray or vow to stop committing the offense. Because even in material life, the greatest act of forgiveness or being sorry for what you did is not do it again. So we ask for forgiveness, and then we try our best not to make those same mistakes. That's the meaning of remorse. Feel bad, and that feeling bad causes you to rectify the problem. Second question.
Yes, the second question is sometimes our consistency goes down, Prabhu. So I mean, sometimes when we do chanting, I mean, sometimes because of some other work issue or something else, our consistency goes down. So how can we boost back and increase our consistency in Japa? So
easy for you. You're not married. You're not married, are you?
I'm married.
You're single?
I'm married.
You are married. Too late now. I was going to joke with you and say, just move in the ashram. You want consistency, move in the ashram. You'll have consistency. One time, there was so much trouble in Juhu, and the devotee who was managing came to Prabhupada and said, I'm so disturbed, I can't chant my rounds. And Prabhupada said, neither can I. So there are situations there are situations where the mind just gets disturbed. Sometimes there's nothing we can do because of that situation. Another time, I just read a letter today that he said, when the devotees were fighting, he said, I can't translate when you're all fighting because it disturbs my mind. So sometimes there are circumstances which are disturbing, and it's just like today, it's not going to be a good day for Japa because I got up late and I have so many things to do. And then my uncle just screamed at me and my mind, something like that. And I have all this extra work to do and I can't, my wife wants me to do this and I don't have time. That's one of those days. As long as you don't have one of those days every day. So that, or if you're having one of those days every day, then you have to figure out how can I stop having one of those days every day? Because if they're like that every day, I won't be able to chant properly. So sometimes circumstantially putting on Rath Yatra or doing some big festival, you're a little busy. Okay, this is only 3 days or whatever. So then you just have to, it's going to be a bad Japa day today. There's nothing, very little, if anything, I can do. But, it's like sometimes I travel and, like I have to chant my rounds on the airplane. That's the worst place. The worst place God created for Japa is the airplane. Although I've chanted some good rounds on it, but generally it's not a good place because everybody's got their video on. And you just, you got to black out. So do your best. But if that situation is arising all the time, then you have to do something to try to prevent it. Because then you're making it difficult for yourself. And if that doesn't work, it's too late to become a brahmachari, but in your next life. Become brahmachari in your next life, you won't have that problem. No, go back to guided, you won't have the problem. That's good.
Thank you. Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thanks for answering my questions, Prabhu.
No offense to your wife. It was a joke.
Thank you. Yeah. Do we have Ujjwala Lakshmi Priya Mataji? She did raise hand before. Ujjwala Lakshmi Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. I
If
thought
you can
I won't
switch
be.
on your video also, if possible.
Yes, sure, Prabhu.
If you put on your video, do you come to the front?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Joy. Oh, there she is. Okay. Ujjwala Lakshmi Priya. Ki jai.
Yes. I was one of the fortunate who got your affirmation book signed by you once you came to Ilford. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for wonderful class. So yeah, I was like this thing getting into my head, like, many times we are hearing and we even, myself, try to give to new people that focus on quantity than quality. And people get into quantity. So where the step where we decide, okay, now, I should focus on quality as well, including myself. Like I took initiation, I'm chanting, but still it's like, and many times another second half question will be like, as you say, the mood is like praying and crying and everything. Yeah. That only comes to me. I always keep along Prabhupada's chanting along with my chanting. So that helps me personally. So like, how about to jumping from quantity to quality?
Well, it's like the joke is, I have 16 Mercedes Benz. Would you like one? None of them work, but I can give you one. It's like, so I have 16 rounds. None of them work, but at least I chant 16. So you say, no, actually, I'll give you all 16 Mercedes Benz. You want all 16? But none of them work. So you'll think, well, what's the use if none of them works? And then you think, well, if you have one that works, I'd rather have one that works than 16 that don't. So have you ever experienced one amazing round that was so amazing, it just immediately you felt transcendental just by one round? Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, Prabhu, yes.
And you ever experienced like 25 really bad rounds and you never felt anything?
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so there's the answer right there.
But Prabhu, like, people, sorry to interrupt you, like people then say, okay, why are you saying 16, rather me chant with my full heart one round,
Yeah. Well, do both. Chant with your full heart. But the tradition of japa is to set a number as a sadhana. Do you want to hear something funny? This will answer your question.
Yes.
This is so funny. I heard the story where a grihasta came to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and said, Guru Maharaj, how many rounds should I chant? He said, 64 rounds. Grihasta. Then a brahmachari came and said, how many rounds did you chant? He said, you don't have to chant any. You're engaged all day in service. So I've chanted 64 rounds on occasion. And my realization was, if you're a grihasta in a traditional village, and you don't have that much to do, you got plenty of time for gossip and radio and TV like that. If you chant 64 rounds, you don't have any time for gossip. Because it takes you 8 hours. So, why can't I just chant from my heart? Because when you stop chanting from your heart, if you don't have a certain number, you're going to start gossiping and talking about your prime minister and racism and coronavirus and Donald Trump and like. So that is meant to regulate us, to force us, because by spontaneity, we may not take that much time in our life to chant. But if I make that commitment, then I do it. So that's the advantage of 16. It takes time away from engagement that could potentially be in Maya. But while you're doing the 16, would you like 16,000 counterfeit pounds? Better 16 pounds, better than 16 counterfeit pounds, right? So I think we have to look at it that way. It's not about number, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. But the number is there as a sadhana. But it's not meant just to be a number of bad rounds, it's meant to be a number of quality rounds. So it's not one or the other, it's both, right? And when Prabhupada was asked about counting, he said, Lord Chaitanya counted. All the acharyas counted. It's the system. And he, Sankhya Purvaka, he quoted that verse, the Goswamis, they were, chanting a certain amount of rounds. So that's the tradition. And the way I've understood it is like, let's say it takes us 2 hours to chant japa, right? So that means every day for 2 hours, I have a rendezvous with Krishna. I have an appointment. We have a date. We're going to spend 2 hours a day together every day. If you don't do that, there's no guarantee you'll spend that 2 hours. You'll spend 5 minutes and say, but I'm chanting from my heart, and spend the rest of the day talking about your Prime Minister, Donald Trump, coronavirus, and Black Rights Matter, and what to eat, and the latest kittens on YouTube. That's what you'll do, right? So for you, grihastas, in those days in the village, you got nothing to do, 64 rounds, keep you out of trouble. Isn't that interesting?
Haribol, yes, Prabhu.
To the brahmachari, you don't have to chant, you're engaged all day. Of course, Prabhupada didn't say that, but that's a funny story. I love that story. It's amazing, isn't it?
Thank
You want to hear
very
another
much.
amazing? There's one more amazing story. It's the same kind of story. So this man comes, I believe it was to Bhakti. This man comes, he comes to a guru, I'm not sure which one. And the man says, I want to take shelter of you. And the guru says, so tell me about yourself. He said, well, I'm born in a Brahmin family. We have shalagram. I was initiated Upanayana when I was 8 years old. And I chant 25 rounds a day and I follow the principles, and my parents are devotees. He's on and on and on. And the guru says, you don't need a guru, you're doing fine. And then another boy comes and he says, I want your shelter. And the guru says, tell me about you. He says, well, sometimes I chant 16, sometimes I chant 0. Sometimes I follow 4 principles, sometimes I follow 3, sometimes I follow 2, sometimes I follow 1. And he goes on like that. And the guru says, okay, I'll accept you as a disciple. And everyone's saying, Guru Maharaj, why do you reject this one? Why do you not accept this one, but you accept that one? He said, Guru's like a doctor. If a patient comes in and you say, so how can I help you? What's wrong? And he says, nothing. He says, oh, you don't need a doctor. But the patient comes, this disease, that disease. So isn't that funny? It's just totally unexpected answer.
No, wonderful it is.
Yes. Okay, I better plug in, otherwise we're gonna be in trouble. Okay.
Should we go ahead with the next one?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Should we go ahead with the next one?
Okay. I guess I should give shorter answers, right? Otherwise,
Yeah, I mean, it's good to, I mean, good to get in detail, basically. But
Yes,
up to you.
Yes, it
Well,
does answer,
if-
Prabhu. Thank you.
if we were meeting more regularly, I would shorten it because we could answer another time.
Yeah.
So-
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is Darpan Prabhu or Mataji. Actually, they had raised the hand, but now they have put or lowered the hand. Are they still there? Darpan?
Maybe I answered their question.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
I have got a question, Prabhu. I don't know if I can ask.
Who?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Vijay Lakshmi, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Oh, yes, yeah. You are the next one in line. Yes, please go ahead.
Vijay
Prabhu.
Lakshmi.
Yes, Prabhu. I don't know if I'm doing offense. This question is, I don't know if it is offensive question, but is it okay to chant in left hand? It's not that I can't do in right hand, but sometimes my shoulders really hurts. Sometimes I feel I really wanted to do, but can I use in
Okay.
occasionally or very rarely?
This might be a time for a clicker if you have to chant with your left hand. Because if you're chanting on Tulsi, it's better not to touch Tulsi, I would think.
Okay.
There's a devotee in Mumbai, he chants with his left hand because there's something wrong with his right hand. And he chants on beads. But if that were me, I would probably chant on a clicker on my left hand. I would just feel more comfortable than chanting on Tulsi.
Thank you.
But I don't, yeah. Yes. Okay, what else?
Go to the next one.
Now,
So
Vijay
Sangeeta.
Lakshmi.
Yeah,
Vijay
Vijay.
Lakshmi, I have a question.
Yes, Prabhu.
Vijay Lakshmi, is that a name of Lakshmi or is that a name of one kind of Lakshmi? Or is that a name of a is that a name of a is that a name of an investment company that we the
a name-
investment company we conquer money? Is that it?
It's a name of Lakshmi, but Vijaya means a victory.
Yeah, that sounds like an investment company. We conquer money. Conquer Money Limited, Vijay Lakshmi Limited. Like Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth. Okay, next question.
Hare Krishna. Yes, we have Sangeeta Mataji, Sangeeta Varalia.
Okay, where'd she go? Oh, there she is.
Hi,
Sangeeta,
Kishan, Mahatma Prabhu. Yes, it's me, Mahatma Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. First time I managed to talk to you after all these days. Always chatting live on Facebook.
Yeah, she comes on my classes, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I come here live lecture. I just want to ask a quick thing that you know when we chant Hare Krishna mantra and it takes 2 hours, right? It should be 2 hours, but mine takes only 1.5 hours for 16 rounds. So,
For you? It takes you an hour and a half? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I think Prabhupada chanted it in about an hour and a half. As long as you're chanting the whole mantra and you're chanting, you're not skipping beats.
I hear always. Make sure because this is what I noticed that, once my time was less, then I thought I'm not chanting correctly. So I've been more actually attentive to the mantra.
Okay, that's good.
To make
As long as you're
sure.
not as long as you're not doing this. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. People do that. Wow, this one devotee said he can chant his rounds in like 50 minutes. That's humanly impossible.
No, yeah, that's not possible. Yeah, that's definitely wrong. Yeah.
3 minutes a round. Yeah, if you chant like this, Hare Krishna, 3 minutes. I was initiated, and in those days, this was in the beginning of 1970, Prabhupada did the fire yajna, and then he would chant on the beads during the initiation. So he would have your beads, he would chant on them, and then he would give them to you. So there were like 5 of us initiated. So we chanted 5 rounds with Prabhupada. So I could see how fast he was chanting, and he always finished before I did.
Yeah.
And I was 20, no, I wasn't even 20, I was 19. So I wasn't, I had energy, I should have been able to chant fairly quickly. He always finished first. So I think Prabhupada chanted about 5 minutes, 5.5.
Wow. So would you say that I should be more? I don't know. It should take to. I mean, am I doing anything wrong? Because I cannot do too slow. When I do too slow, I lose my consciousness straight away.
Yeah.
Some mind goes somewhere here and there. So I say like
No
Hare Krishna,
problem.
Krishna Krishna,
Yeah.
Hare Hare, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Something like that I chant.
That's fine. There was
Yeah,
this
thank
other devotee. There's other devotee. He wrote me, he said it takes him an hour to chant 4 rounds. And if he chants any faster, his rounds are horrible. So you have the opposite problem. So everybody has a different problem. So
Yeah.
it's better to have your problem than his problem. Because he stopped chanting 16 because it takes him so long.
Yeah. 16 down. Yeah.
Okay. So you're fine.
Thank you very much.
You passed your checkup. You're healthy.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll see you again Monday. I think tomorrow. I don't think so. You have class on.
Oh my God, I have a class at 5 tonight also. I forgot about it. 10 o'clock, that's 10 o'clock for you.
10?
I totally forgot. I have a class today at 5 p.m. I completely forgot. I was thinking of canceling that class. Anyway, okay.
Thank you.
A lot of classes. My wife's giving a class on marriage. While this is going on, she's giving a class on marriage.
I couldn't join her classes today, 3 o'clock, some reason.
Yeah, we got messed up with the we had to create a new Zoom conference. So some people.
Oh, right.
I put out the new anyway.
That's why I couldn't log in. But anyway, I'm sure I'll find somewhere that class from somebody.
Yeah, it's being recorded. So.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Haribo, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. We have Amit Agrawal Prabhu. Amit Agrawal.
Yeah, hello. Prabhu, yeah, basically, just a moment. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Where are you? Where are you, Amit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there he is.
You can
Got
hear
you.
AMIT.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Prabhu. Yeah, basically, pranam, dandavat pranam. I normally do chanting. I mean, not yet till 16, but yeah, like 8 rounds I've been doing. So when I do the chanting, I experience like while doing the chanting, there are some material problems or some problems in life which pass through the mind, and sometimes like I try to be attentive, but those thoughts come in, and sometimes in fact we get solutions to those problems while doing the chanting. So how should we, is it good or bad, or sometimes some breakthrough happens also while doing chanting? So can you guide us, like how is it basically?
Yeah. It's Paramatma is, guiding, giving guidance. You're more in touch with Paramatma. What to do? I would think, this is my experience, that the more you get into this mood of turning your mind off, the less that will happen. And you're going to get those answers anyway. Don't worry, you'll get the answers anyway.
Okay.
Those answers are there. Paramatma will give them to you. But the more you go into this turning off mood, the less you'll have that problem. It's because you're still allowing your mind to dwell on those things. And the more you just get into, it's just me and Krishna connecting, the less that's going to happen. So it requires time and practice.
Okay. Yeah, I'll practice that.
Yeah. See what happens. Okay. All right.
It's a last question. Maybe Kusuma Mataji. Okay, fine. It's the last question. I think it is again from Hemant Prabhu, and then I would request Arvinda Krishna Prabhu, Yamuneshwari Mataji to say thanks again.
Hey, man.
Hare Krishna, so sorry, it just came in my mind. I just wanted to ask, if you permit. Prabhu, we always, hear even Prabhupada and many devotees chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra properly. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But sometime in kirtans and during japa, we hear devotees saying Ramo, Ramo, Ramo. Is it the right way to pronounce?
The Bengali? You mean Ramo, like in Bengali?
Yes, yes. But even though we're not Bengalis, so please
Hare
enlighten.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo. My godbrother said that Prabhupada said, "Who is this Ramo?" He was joking. Who is this Ramo? But I can tell you another story. It was Prabhupada's way of saying that's not the proper way to chant. The other question comes up, what about Ram? What about chanting Hare Ram as opposed to Rama? And Prabhupada said either way. But one man, he told Prabhupada, your disciples are not chanting properly. They don't pronounce properly. Because different parts of the world, you say Krishna a different way, right? You don't say Hare Krishna. You might say Hare Krishna or Krishna. The Bengalis say Krishna. You have any Bengalis here? Hare Krishna, right? Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. So that's the Sanskrit is Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. That's the Sanskrit. So how many devotees pronounce perfectly Sanskrit? Not everyone, maybe very few. So this man said to Prabhupada, he said, your devotees are not chanting. They're not pronouncing properly Krishna's name. Prabhupada said, I know. He said, but Krishna knows who they're calling. So this is a beautiful story because it makes us realize it's not a ritual. Like, it's not like you have to do it perfectly at this time, facing this direction with this pronunciation. After chanting these mantras and doing puja, then you can chant. It's not like that. So Prabhupada kind of pulled the rug out under that whole ritualistic thing by saying, but Krishna knows. Otherwise, technically speaking, I would say probably at least 50% or more of the devotees in our movement technically are not pronouncing the Mahamantra properly. Would you agree? How do you say? How do you say with your Creole accent? How do you say Krishna? You're from Mauritius?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. With your Creole accent, how do you say Krishna?
We say Krishna. Krishna.
Krishna, yeah, Krishna. It's actually Krishna. Krishna is the proper way. So you almost got it. And how do you say Rama? Rama. And if you have the French accent, you'll say Rama, right?
Rama.
Rama. Bala Rama. Hari Rama. That's the French accent. What kind of crazy way to say Rama? Rama. Sounds weird, right? Or if you're from Holland, Rama, Rama. You talk like, it's not, so most of us don't say it perfectly. Chinese, yeah, I have to teach them. Chinese, I have to teach. But the Chinese are getting better. They're getting better, but it's not, R is not in their language. Hare Krishna Prabhu. When I go to China, they say, Mahatma Prabhu, Hare Krishna. And what does Krishna say? Oh, we'll count you out. You can't say Mahatma right, you can't say Prabhu right, you can't say Krishna right, forget it. We'll just take ISKCON out of China. No, I don't think so. Mahatma Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So Krishna knows what's in the heart, and that's the main. And the mantra is just the vehicle with which we call and pray to Krishna. That's an important point, isn't it? Otherwise, most of us, many of us are not chanting properly. But still, we should try as best we can. When Prabhupada gave Jayananda Gayatri Mantra, he was asking him to repeat the words, and Jayananda couldn't do it properly. And at a certain point, Prabhupada said, yeah, I give up. He probably said, this is useless. Krishna understands. So, Jayananda was a pure devotee. With or without his proper pronunciation. Okay, so I'm going to go take prasadam. I have this feeling I'm going to go in the house and there'll be no prasadam to take. But anyway, we'll work that out when I get up there. It was nice being with you.
Thank
And
you
I hope
so
you learned
much
something.
for taking your time from the busy schedule. And we know that we can understand that how many seminars and the workshops you will be doing online all over the world. So we are really, really grateful for your time and really insights on the Japa aspect. And we'll definitely work on all the wonderful points which you have mentioned. So
yeah,
I'd like to sincerely, say our, wonderful, thanks for your time. And of course, we'll keep in touch, as you said, we'll see your Facebook, which you have mentioned that the project which has
I
been
think it'll
happening.
be called, it may be called the Mantra Project. That may be the name of the page.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll make a note.
Definitely.
To,
I'll write an email anyway, and
Okay.
then we can, you can send some information and I'll distribute to all the devotees here.
Yeah, that'll be great. I like to invite people who've attended any classes on Japa.
Definitely, definitely. And devotees would be very happy to take part in any.
Hey man, your friends ever make fun of you? They go, hey man. They call do they do that?
They definitely do, especially at work. This is how they tend to call me sometimes.
When you walk in, they go, hey man. Yeah, that's good. All right. Okay. Hey man.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. And actually, Arvind Krishna Prabhu and Yamuneshwari Mataji, they are our leaders, but I can't see them on the call. But they have expressed their gratitude to you and for your time. Thank you so much for that. Is Supriya Janava Mataji here on the call? So she's our another leader in East London.
Okay.
She may be not.
I'm trying to place. I've done so many home programs. And East London, you have a temple or no?
No, we don't have it. We are connected to Bhaktivedanta Manor, but we don't have any local temple here in East London.
So when I went to East, there's two places I'm thinking where I went. One was a home with a big backyard.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah. So there you came last time. That was 18.
2 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years.
So yeah, I think that the backyard was a very big kind of a garden, and
we just had the Japa books. They just came out. We sold a lot of Japa books. Yeah.
Exactly.
There were a few places I went, and Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. Jai. His Grace Mahatma Prabhu ki Jai. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha nam bhavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namah.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Wonderful time.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Prabhu.
Hari Krishna.